Hey, this is Andrew Brown from Exam Pro, and this fall along, we're just going to be looking at a bunch of random kubectl commands that we just didn't cover through any of the other follow alongs, but could appear on the exam or just help you contextualize a few things. So I'm going to launch my microK8 environment, and as that is spinning up, what I'm going to do is make my way over to Google on a new tab. We're going to type in kubectl commands. And, this is the one I usually point you to, but I just also noticed if you click, even if it's the cheat sheet, right here on the left-hand side, you go to kubectl commands, and that's another way to get to it. So there's just some things like API resource, cluster management, that we might want to just take a quick peek at. I didn't even look at top. What's that? The top commands lets you see resource consumption for nodes or pods. Cool. So maybe we'll just play around with a few of these just to see what we can see. So I'm going to type in kubectl. Get pods to see what we have here, just to see if anything is running yet. And we can always just type in microK8s as well. I'm not sure if we have a permissions. There we go. So we are fine there. I thought we might have a permissions issue there, but I'm actually surprised on the server that I don't have the kubectl installed because we are on Ubuntu. So I can't remember what we did for that. I think it was something with the config file, but I think it was like kubectl config, and then we would just do this .cube config. Oh, sorry, microK8s, right? Did not mean to open up that tab. Okay, and so I'll just type in clear, and if I type in kubectl get pods, it's going to save me some trouble. Q get pods. Can I do that? No. So I see a lot of people alias the K command. I'm not sure how that gets done, but let's go back over to here and just look at some of them here. So we have kubectl top, and that might be fun to try. So let's go give that a go and see what that does. Kubectl top. So this top command allows you to see resources consumption on nodes. So we need to specify something maybe like node. Is unavailable to handle requests. Let's try pod. Okay, so that didn't work, but maybe just as a test, we can do microK8s there. Okay, but we have pods, right? All right, so I'm not sure as the reason why that's not working, but I'm not too worried about it because it's not on the exam, but I just saw it there, so I just wanted to give it a go. API versions is definitely something we might want to try out, so we'll just type in clear kubectl API versions. And so here it's telling us all the API versions. So if we go back over here, we'll just give it a read. Print the support API versions on the server in the form of groups and versions. So I guess the idea is that all of these things are APIs. So what I mean by that is, like, if we go create a file, any kind of file like a persistent volume, and if you go to the top, maybe that's not the best example, but the idea is you have a group and then you have a version. And so if any of the syntax changes because of the functionality changes, that might be version 2, that might be version 3, or down below, like see autoscaling, we have 1 to v2 beta 1, v2 beta 2. And so by copying this and putting this up here into the API version, we'll change the nature of these files. All right, and I don't know if it's you get what you get. So I would imagine that you install a version of Kubernetes, and then that's going to support different ones. So as new versions of Kubernetes come out, I imagine they might drop older versions or things like that, or maybe the betas vanish. I really don't know. But I mean, generally that's the idea behind the API versions. Let's go back over to kubectl reference here. Cluster info might be one that we might want to run here. So go ahead and just type in clear at the bottom. And then we'll paste that on in there and hit enter. So it says the control plane is running. Nothing super exciting. Now this is microK8, so I'm not sure if we would get more detailed information if we were doing a managed provider, if we self-deployed versus a lightweight distribution like microK8s, but we get some information there, which is nice. Cordon, drain, those are really for managing nodes or spinning them down. Uncordon as well, taint. As well. So these we're not going to be touching at all. This would be something you would do in the CKA, the administrator. Then we have other ones down below here. I don't even know what alpha is. These commands correspond to alpha features. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Let's see what alpha features we have. So events is experimental. So I imagine that maybe that can be turned on. So yeah, down below here. So KubeCTL alpha events might turn it on, I suppose, or something like that. Or maybe you just have to put alpha in order to access the events. That's probably what it is, right? Then there's API resources. So print the supported API resources on the server. So we'll go ahead and copy this. We'll type in clear and we'll hit enter. And so if we just scroll up here, and just expand it a bit, not too different from the API versions per se, but like here it's saying what is the name of the API resource. So like bindings, events, pods, things like that. What is its short name? What version is this one currently on? Is it namespaced? And what kind is it, right? So actually saying kind in terms of a component or stuff. And I guess this would be useful if you wanted to know what Kubernetes components are namespaced and not, right? Because we said that there are certain components in our namespace section that you can put in namespace, that you can't put in namespace. And this may also affect whether you use a cluster role or a role for particular things. Because I would think that if you have a role and then you have a component that is not allowed to be namespaced, you probably have to use a cluster role. We don't really get that deep into that kind of stuff with RBAC or role-based access controls and that kind of level of detail. Because again, at the KCNA level, we're not too worried about that information. Maybe that's the CSK or CKAD or the CKA. Config we definitely used, and there's a lot of options under there. Explain, we have not used, so kubectl explain. The command describes the fields associated with each supported resource. So that might be fun. Let's try pods over here. Enter. And we typed in that here. So a pod is a collection of containers that run on a host. This resource is created by clients and schedules, API version, kind, metadata. Oh, so it actually explains all the fields within pods. So that's kind of useful. And maybe documentation that might not show up actually on the page, but it's here in the commands. So that's nice, but really all I really wanted to do was show you API resources and API versions, because I definitely know that those will appear on the exam and you need to know what they're there for, okay? So API resources show you all the possible supported resources, and then API versions is all the supported API versions, okay?